morning. Elias, are we okay?
Good, good.
Okay. I apologize for the delay. There were some technical difficulties. I hope that you got a message on the WhatsApp group that got technical issue got figured out about 2 or 3 minutes ago. We are in Tamid Perek Zayin Mishnah Gimel, which in your V'Hoshev Es Havod is page 19. Where are we up to? We've done the first pious, the first lottery, for the one winner who's going to do the Trumas Hadeshin. Lottery 2, the 13 winners. The first one is going to shech the korban tamid. The second one is going to splash the blood on the mizbeach. The third one's going to clean the mizbeach hapnimi, the mizbeach haktores. The fourth one is going to clean 5 sticks of the menorah, pause, and then the shrit and the zrika, and then he's going to clean the last 2 sticks of the menorah. And after that, there's going to be the actual bringing of the ketores. And according to the way we learned in the Mishnah, we'll talk about that some more in a minute or so. According to the way we learned the Mishnah, the Kohanim then duchen after the ketores. That seems to be what we learned. But the Rambam doesn't hold that way. I want to point out something to you on page 19 of your Hasheva Tzavoda. At the end of Mishnah Gimel, the Mishnah we're going to start today, it's a long Mishnah, but at the end of the Mishnah, it says, Zehu Seder HaTamid La'avodas Beis Elokeinu. This is the order of bringing a korban tamid to serve in Hashem's house. Yiratzin she'ibana b'meher yameinu amen. May it be the will that the Beis Hamikdash should be rebuilt speedily in our days. Amen. Now you see, after that, there's another Mishnah, Mishnah Dalit, which tells us what was the shear of the Levium every day of the week. So the question is, why isn't that statement at the end of Mishnah Gimel, this is the order of the korban tamid, and the Beis Hamikdash should be speedily built nowadays? That would seem to be appropriate as the last sentence of the Masechta, which means it should be at the bottom of the page at the end of Mishnah Dalit. Instead, it's at the end of our Mishnah of today, Mishnah Gimel, and then there'll be still another Mishnah Dalit. So that's a question we'll deal more with when we get to the last Mishnah and the shear. The point I want to raise with these words is the Gemara in Sanhedrin and Daf Mem Tes has a disagreement about what the exact nature of those words, what the exact nature of the words are. Zehu Seder HaTamid, this is the order of a korban tamid that's brought to serve in God's house. The Beis Hamikdash should be built speedily in our days. It sounds like the Mishnah is saying that the Masechta you just learned, Masechta Tamid, is the order by which a korban tamid is brought. Period, the end. I don't want you to change anything in the order of the Mishnah. So if we went back and we were going to review Masechta Tamid, which would be a good idea, start reviewing Masechta Tamid, Masechta Midas, but if we were reviewing Masechta Midas, we would start and say, okay, this is first, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, this is fifth, because that's the order in which the Masechta was written. And at the end of the Masechta it says, and this is the order. That's one opinion. We'll soon see today that the Rambam doesn't hang on strongly to that opinion. That's one opinion in the Gemara. The other opinion is that the Seder is not necessarily ma'akev, and what ma'akev means itself a question, but basically the word Zehu Seder HaTamid doesn't necessarily mean this is the order in which it has to be done. This is the order of things that need to get done. So in other words, it's like there are 2 ways to read Masechta Tamid. Masechta Tamid could be like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You give it song, you say, I want it done in this order. That's one way of learning Masechta Tamid. And it's a very, very precise order. Or the words mean, I wrote on a piece of paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I give it to someone and I say to him, these are the 10 things I want you to get done today, not tomorrow. I want these 10 things get done today. And then the person gets those 10 things done. It's not necessarily 1, 2, 3. It could be 1, 3, 6, 7, 2. So there's a question in what those last words of today's Mishnah mean. And I'm introducing to you this now because the Mishnah we're about to learn is going to begin talking about something we've not yet done in the Beis Hamikdash. If you remember, we put the 9 items on the lower half of the ram to the Mizbeach, but we didn't actually yet bring them up to the Mizbeach to be consumed. Today's Mishnah is going to go back to those 9 items on the ram and how they get up and get consumed on top of the Mizbeach. If we're going to learn Maseches Tamid, that it's a precise order, that means that the duchening of the Kohanim, which we learned about last Thursday, Perek Zayin, Mishnah Beis, on your page 19 of Ahashivas Avoda, it talks about how the Kohanim duchen. Then reading the Mishnah in a very precise order, it meant that the Kohanim duchened. Remember, they don't duchen on a duchen. They duchened on the 12 steps of the Ulam. So if I read the order of Maseches Tamid literally, last Thursday we learned about duchening, and today we're going to learn about how the 9 items on the ramp actually got up to the top of the ramp and were consumed in the fire. So that means duchening comes before bringing the items up to the Mizbeach. The Rambam doesn't hold that way. The Rambam holds, in fact, that the Mishnah we're going to read today about bringing the 9 items up to the top of the Mizbeach for consumption occurred before the duchening. And an easy way to remember the Shittas Rambam is the way we used to remember, even today, it's true, we talked about Chutz La'aretz duchening versus Eretz Yisrael duchening, but duchening comes all the way at the end of davening, especially in Chutz La'aretz, where you only duchen on Yantif and you only daven in Musaf. Duchening is a sign that it's the end of davening. That's not why the Rambam says duchening comes at the end, but that may be an easy way to remember the Shittas Rambam. Duchening of the Kohanim at the end, which means it's going to be after the 9 items are brought up for consumption. So while last Thursday we learned about duchening, and today we're going to learn about how to bring the 9 items up to the Mizbeach for consumption on the fire, the Rambam, and we're going to use the Rambam Shita, the Rambam holds that today's Mishnah about bringing 9 items up to the Mizbeach for consumption occurred before duchening. Duchening occurred after these 9 items were brought up to the Mizbeach for consumption. Having said that, we need to review something we learned about the 4 lotteries. There are only 4 lotteries in the Beis Hamikdash, and they're only done in the morning. There's no lottery in the afternoon. When, again, as I'm teaching Masechet Midas and Masechet Tamid, I've tried to use consistent shittas throughout. There are a lot of shittas, the Rambam, the Ravid, the Meforesh, other Rishonim, Rashi. It's hard to learn Masechet Tamid or Masechet Midas if we're going to go through, in the time that we have, every single sheet and then review every single order according to every sheet. So we mentioned, for example, there's a machlokes in the Gemara between Tanoim, Abba Shaul, and the Chachomim. We know that the menorah had to be cleaned out in 2 separate stages, 5 sticks and then 2 sticks. And there had to be a pause. What did they do between the cleaning of the 5 and the cleaning of the 2? So the Chachomim say between the 5 and the 2, they brought the Ketores. We don't hold like that. I mean, I can't say we don't hold like that. We've been learning the Mishnah according to Abba Shaul. Abba Shaul is quoted, as I mentioned several times, in everyone's siddur, before Mizmah, before Hodu. It has the whole Seder, and it's at the end of your Vahashem Avoda. You have Abaya, have Masada, Seder HaMarocha, Mishmah, the Gemara, Valiba, the Abba Shaul. And that's on page 202. 202 of your Hasheves Avoda is the order of the Avoda. Abba Shaul, and we've been learning like Abba Shaul. Abba Shaul says that between the 2 sticks, between cleaning the 5 sticks and the 2 sticks, the pause was to shech the korban and to splash the blood. And then they continued with cleaning the 2 sticks. That's how we learn. That's just an example of a difference in the order. The Chachamim say between the 5 sticks and the 2 sticks, the Kohen burned the incense. And Abba Shaul says, no, between the 5 sticks and the 2 sticks, the winner, 1 of lottery 2 shechted the animal, and the winner, 2 of lottery 2 splashed the blood. So there's already a difference in the order. And then there's a difference of order after you get through all the Tanoim in how the poskim understood the Gemara. So today, we're going to learn like the Rambam, that the Mishnah we're learning today about bringing the 9 items up to the Mizbeach occurred before last Thursday's Mishnah, which is Duchni. So the 9 items are going to go up to the top of the Mizbeach for consumption and then Duchni. Now, we need to review something we learned about these 4 lotteries. Lottery 1, 1 winner. That winner is going to do the Trumas Hadeshin and other things that we learned about. Lottery 2, 13 winners. The first one, Shochet. Second one, Zorek. Third one, clean the Mizbeach Apnimi. Fourth one, clean the menorah in 2 phases. The next 9 winners, 6 of them were Zocher to bring parts of the animal that were cut to the ramp and left them on the lower half of the ramp. 3 others, 1 brought the flour mixed with oil for the flour offering, the mincha. 1 brought the 6 chalas of the Kohen Gadol. There are 12 brought each day on behalf of the Kohen Gadol, 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon. And then the third Kohen, winner 9, brought the wine in a flask to the lower part of the ram, ready for later to be poured on the Mizbeach. And that's one of the subjects in the Mishnah that we're going to start today. So lottery 2 had 13 winners. The first 2 have to do with the korban, slaughtering the animal, splashing the blood. The next 2 are cleaning. They're cleaning the Mizbeach and cleaning the menorah. And the next 6 are bringing animal parts to the bottom of the ram. And the last 3, 1 is bringing the flour offering, 1 is bringing the 6 chalas of the Kohen Gadol, and the last one's bringing the wine. Okay. What's lottery number 3? Lottery number 3 is for who's going to burn the incense on the Mizbeach. And for that, I remind you that only people who never brought Ketores were allowed to join this lottery, because we learn out from a pasuk, Gemara says that it's misasher. There's a special blessing of wealth that comes with the Ketores, and they wanted to give everyone every kohen a chance to do the avoda. So if you've ever done it in your lifetime, you didn't join this lottery. That's lottery 3. So far, so good. Everyone agrees with these 3 lotteries. Now we come to lottery number 4. We hold that lottery number 4 was for which Kohen is now going to bring those 9 items that were left on the lower part of the ram. Which Kohen is going to bring them to the top of the Mizbeach? Rashi taught us that there's only 1 winner to lottery 4, even though 9 different Kohanim brought 9 items to the ramp. Lottery 4 is for 1 Kohen to bring all those items to the top of the ramp and to put them on the fire, except, of course, for the wine, which is poured on the Mizbeach. But it's 1 winner to lottery 4 to bring these 9 items to the top of the Mizbeach. The Ritva Shita was that no, there's 6 or 9, probably 9 separate Kohanim. Lottery 4 was, in fact, to bring up the items to the Mizbeach. There's no question about that. There's the lottery 4, according to the Shita, is to bring the items on the bottom of the ram to the top of the Mizbeach. Rashi says it's 1 Kohen. The Ritva says 6, perhaps 9 Kohanim. Okay, that's lottery 4, the way we learn. Rebbe Lezer ben Yaakov held that there is no fourth lottery for who brings the items on the ram to the top of the Mizbeach, because the same Kohanim who won lottery 2, the last 9 winners of lottery 2, who brought the 9 items to the ram, they're the same ones that at the right time they're going to bring the items up to the top of the Mizbeach, and therefore there is no lottery for who brings the items to the top of the Mizbeach. So what is the fourth lottery according to Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov? Rebbe ben Yaakov says the fourth lottery is which Kohen is going to win the privilege of bringing the coals into the Heichal to put on the Mizbeach, upon which the incense will be brought. And the first Shita who says that there was no lottery for the fire pan, they say that winner of lottery 3, the person standing next to him, was the person who got the machta. So as we learn the Mishnah, we need to keep that in mind. Who is going to bring up these 9 items to the Mizbeach? According to Chachamim, Rashi, according to the Chachamim in the Gemara, the way Rashi learns, 1 Kohen. According to the Ritva, the way he learns the Chachamim, 6 or 9 Kohanim. Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov, who's a completely different Shita in the Mishnah that we learned, he holds that the same 6 or 9 that brought up the items to the bottom of the ram, they're going to finish the job. And there's 2 ways to learn this Mishnah. The Mishnah we're about to read sounds like it's Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, and that's a simple way to read the Mishnah. And that's the first way we'll read the Mishnah. We'll see how much time we have to read the Mishnah in a different way. So on page 19, Perek Zayin, Mishnah Gimel. And the Mishnah now begins with the idea of the Kohen Gadol. Remember, we said the Kohen Gadol, he can walk into the Beis HaMikdash on any day and say, I want to bring the ketores, I want to burn the incense today. He may have done it already 100 times in his lifetime. He can come in and say, I'm being mocked with the ketores, and he cannot, no one can stop him. Now we have a different case. The Kohen Gadol comes into the Beis HaMikdash and says, I want to put the items that are on the ram, I want to be maktir them on the Mizbeach. I'm going to the top of the Mizbeach, and I'm going to put these items on the fire to be consumed. Well, he can do that. He says it, and he does it. So the Mishnah, although it's talking about Kohen Gadol, we're going to learn about burning the different parts on the Mizbeach, even if it's not the Kohen Gadol. The Mishnah starts off by saying, if the Kohen Gadol wants to, he can, to teach us special rules about the Kohen Gadol, which we'll see as we learn the Mishnah. But in terms of how to burn the items on the top of the Mizbeach, it's virtually no difference whether it's the Kohen Gadol or a Kohen Hedjid. If it's the Kohen Gadol, he's going to do it one way for his kavod. And if it's the Kohen Hedjid, which Kohen Hedjid? If the Kohen Gadol didn't come in and say, I want to do it that day, who is going to bring the items to the top of the Mizbeach? According to the Chachamim, Rashi, 1 Kohen. According to the Chachamim, Ritva, 6 or 9 Kohanim. According to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, the same 6 or 9 that originally brought them to the Mizbeach will now bring them brought them to the bottom of the ram, will bring them up. So we're now going to learn the Mishnah according to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. So what has happened in the Beis HaMikdash today is that there were 13 winners to lottery 2. 9 of them won the lottery, the last 9 to bring items to the ram. They took their items and put them on the bottom half of the ram. At some point before these items can be brought up to the top of the Mizbeach to be consumed, the Kohen Gadol walks in. He says, today I want to put these items on the fire. Now what do? We have our 9 winners from lottery 2 who brought them to the bottom of the ram. Our 9 winners are now, according to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, supposed to bring them to the top of the ramp. But these 9 fellas can't bring them to the top of the ramp because the Kohen Gadol says, I am doing it today. I am going to put these 9 items on the fire. So when the Kohen Gadol comes in and does that, how does the avoda look? Let's stop for a moment. How does the avoda look when the Kohen Gadol doesn't walk in? Well, that's kind of simple according to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. Winner number 5, winner number 1, we're talking about lottery 2. Winner number 1, shchita. Winner number 2, zrika. Winner number 3, clean the mizbeach. Winner number 4, clean the menorah. Winner number 5, take the head and the right leg of the animal to the ram. Okay? And when the animal is finally shechted and the blood is sprinkled and the parts are cut, our winner number 5 is going to take the head and the right leg and place it at the bottom of the ram. And winner number 6 is going to take his parts. Winner number 7, 8, 9, 10, each of them take their parts and put them at the bottom of the bag. If the Kohen Gadol doesn't show up that day, then at the appropriate time in the order of the Korban Tamid, according to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, winner number 5 is going to go back to the ram, and he's going to take the head and the right leg, and he's going to bring it up to the mizbeach and get it consumed. We'll see how you get it consumed. He'll put it on the fire. Winner number 6 of lottery 2 is going to take his 2 items that he put on the ramp earlier in the morning, and he's going to walk up the ramp with his 2 items, and he's going to put them on the fire. Winner number 7 is going to go to the ramp and take the things that he put on the ramp earlier in the morning. He's going to walk up the ramp, and he's going to put them on the fire. That's the way it looks like if the Kohen Gadol doesn't appear. Winner 5 is going to bring his item up. Winner 6 is going to bring his item up. Winner 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is a different case. That's wine. Everybody's going to bring their item up according to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Kohen Gadol's not there. If it's not Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, it's the Chachamim. One Kohen is going to go up the ramp, the winner of lottery 4, and he's going to bring all the 9 items up. According to the Ritva, 6 or 9. But we're reading the Mishnah according to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. If the Kohen Gadol did not show up, then each person who won lottery 5 through 9, 5, 6, 7, well, it's lottery 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6 Kohanim, each of them going to bring up their part to be consumed on the mizbeach, and then the last 3 as well. So the Kohen Gadol didn't show up. Winner number 5 of lottery 2, you brought the head and the right leg to the mizbeach earlier, to the ramp earlier in the day. Now the time came, bring the head and the right leg up to the top of the mizbeach. Winner 6, now you go to the mizbeach and bring your part to the top of the mizbeach. That's if the Kohen Gadol didn't show up. What happens if the Kohen Gadol showed up? So the Mishnah now says, "Bisman sheKohen Gadol wrote Salahakter." If it's a time where the Kohen Gadol says, don't get confused here. We're not talking about ketores here. Lahakter means to burn. Kitur means to create smoke. We're not talking about incense in this Mishnah. We're talking about the different body parts that need to be consumed on the mizbeach. That's called a haktorah or hakrova. And the Kohen Gadol says, I want to put these items on the mizbeach to be consumed. Haya'oleh bakevesh. The Kohen Gadol would walk up the ramp, v'hasgan mimino, and the assistant Kohen Gadol, the Kohen, there was a Kohen Gadol who was his assistant. He was trained to be a Kohen Gadol. If something chas shalom would happen with the Kohen Gadol, there was a sgan Kohen Gadol. His assistant would step into his place. The Sagan, the assistant Kohen Gadol, would walk with the Kohen Gadol up the ramp and would stand, the Sagan, the assistant, would stand to his right. Higia lamachtas hakevesh. They came halfway up the ramp. Now remember, the mizbeach is 30, the ramp is 32 amas long. The mizbeach is 9 amas high. With the corners, it becomes 10. and they had a ramp that went from south to north, south towards north, 32 amas. It's a long ramp. And for the covet of the Kohen Gadol, when he got halfway up the ramp, Achas Hasgan biminoi ve'e'elahu. The Sgan grabbed hold of the right side of the Kohen, sort of like you take a chosin to the chuppah, a kala to the chuppah, you grab hold of his right side, and he helped him go up the second half of the ramp. Now the Kohen is at the top of the ramp. He does not step on the Mizbeach. It was possible to step on the Mizbeach. Remember, we learned Maseches Tamid that around the Mizbeach, they created an area where there would be no fire, where the Kohanim can walk. But the Kohen Gadol or the Kohen Hedyot, whoever is going to be dealing with having the animal parts consumed on the Mizbeach, did not go on the Mizbeach. He stood at the top of the ramp. We learned this out from a pasuk in this week's parsha. Parshas where a Mazel Tov, the pasuk comes up, and a pasuk in this week's parsha comes up in our learning. If you remember, when we built the Mizbeach and Maseches Tamid, the ramp went up to the Mizbeach but did not touch the Mizbeach. There was a tiny drop of airspace between where the ramp ended and the Mizbeach began. And that was required. There had to be airspace. Why? It says in this week's parsha, "V'asisa habasa v'hadam al mizbach Hashem Elokecha," and you should do the avoda with the meat, the flesh of the animal, and the blood of the animal on the mizbeach. And the Gemara learns out that the basar, the parts of the animal that are going to be consumed on the mizbeach, have to be consumed on the Mizbeach the same way the blood is put on the Mizbeach. How is the blood put on the Mizbeach? Remember, we said there's a Mizrach, there's a handle, and the Kohen Gadol splashes. He gives it a splash, and it hits two corners. He stands in two opposite corners, flips the Mizrach, the blood hits two sides, and it ends up hitting four sides. At any rate, the way the blood gets to the Mizbeach is from a kli. It goes through some air space and then hits the mizbeach. You take the mizrach. See if we can find that in the Hashiras Avoda. There is a picture in the Hashiras Avoda, I'm not finding it at this moment, where the Kohen is using a mizrach. At any rate, the way the blood gets to the mizbeach,
Page 114.
is from a kli splash. So that means the blood passes airspace before it hits the carbon. By the same token, because the pasuk says, and you should do the avoda of the flesh and the avoda of the blood, the same way the blood has to pass airspace before it gets to the mizbeach, so too the parts of the animal that are going to be consumed has to pass through airspace before it gets onto the mizbeach. Therefore, the Kohen, whether it's a Kohen Gadol or a Kohen Hedyot, could not stand on the mizbeach and place the items on the Marocha Gedola on the fire. He stood at the top of the ramp. Between the ramp and the mizbeach, there was some air space, and he flipped each one of these things, each item, onto the fire, which means that by flipping it onto the fire, it passed over this airspace that was between the ramp and the mizbeach. The Kohen Gadol is standing at the top of the ramp, and he's going to flip these items, and these items are going to pass over the split between the ramp and the Mizbeach, and that's airspace. So the same way the blood went through airspace before it hit the Mizbeach, the animal parts went over airspace before it hit the Mizbeach. So this is what they did. The Kohen Gadol is now at the top of the ramp, and all the items are at the bottom of the ramp. How do you get them to the top? Hoshit lo harishan harosh v'harega. Winner number 5 of Lottery 2, who brought to the ramp earlier in the morning the head and the right leg of the animal and put them at the bottom of the ramp, he now took the head and the right leg of the animal and brought them to the top of the Mizbeach, where the Kohen Gadol and his assistant Kohen Gadol are standing. V'somach aleim, the Kohen Gadol will put his hands on top of it, as if he's doing smicha, uzrakom, and then he flipped them onto the fire, the Marach Gedol. He didn't place it, he didn't take a pitchfork and put it into the item and put it on the Mizbeach. He flipped it the same way blood is flipped onto the walls of the Mizbeach and it moves through airspace. So too, the animal parts are flipped as if it was dam and gets onto the fire. Why did the Kohen have to do smicha? There's no din smicha here. Smicha is when the animal is alive, the owner of the animal puts his hands on the head of the animal and does smicha. Once the animal is shechted, there's no din smicha. Why is the Kohen Gadol? This is only a rule for Kohen Gadol. This is one of the several things that are special about the Kohen Gadol in this Mishnah. Each part of the animal that comes up to the Kohen Gadol, he's going to do smicha on it to show that it's a chashivas, to give him a kavod, that even though he didn't slaughter the animal, he wasn't involved in the avodah till now, they're showing the Kohen Gadol as if it's his korban, and he's doing smicha now on the korban. This is a rabbinic smicha, it's not a biblical smicha, just for the kavod of the Kohen Gadol. Hoshen Hasheni Larishan Shtei Adayim. Winner number 6, early in the morning, brought the 2 front legs of the animal to the bottom of the ramp. He now comes to the Mizbeach and takes those two front legs of the animal and brings it to the top of the Mizbeach to winner number 5 of the lottery. Winner number 5 stayed there. The Kohen that brought the head and the right back leg of the animal, he gave it to Kohen. Kohen did smicha, put it on the fire, threw it on the fire, flipped it on the fire. That Kohen, winner number 5, who brought the head and the leg to the Kohen, he stayed there. And now winner number 6 is going to come up with the 2 front legs. And he gives it to that Kohen winner 5. We'll keep on calling him winner 5. And he holds it. The Kohen does smicha. Noisnam the Kohen Gadol, he gives to the Kohen Gadol. The Samach Alem Uzrakum, the Kohen Gadol then flips the 2 front legs onto Mizbeach. Nishmat Hasheni Volachlo. That second Kohen, who was winner number 6, he left. Winner number 5 stays there next to the Kohen. And now the next winner came up, number 7, with his body parts, and he gave it to winner number 5. Winner number 5 gave it to the Kohen. He put his hands on it, flipped it on the Mizbeach. Winner number 7 leaves the Mizbeach. Winner number 8 now comes up with his parts that he put earlier at the bottom of the ram. He brings them up to winner number 5. He passes it to the winner number 5. Winner number 5 to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol does smicha on it, flips on the Mizbeach. Winner number 8 leaves. Winner number 9 goes to the ram, takes the things that he put earlier in the morning from the ram, brings it up the ram to winner number 5. Winner number 5 takes and gives it to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol does smicha, flips on the Mizbeach. Winner number 9 leaves. Winner number 10 takes the items that he put earlier on the day in the ram, brings it up to the ram, gives it to winner number 5. Winner number 5 gives it to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol does smicha, flips it on to the Mizbeach. Winner number 11 comes up to the Mizbeach and gives the flour offering to winner number 1, to winner number 5. Winner number 5 gives it to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol flips it onto the Mizbeach. Winner number 12 brings the 6 challahs of the Kohen Gadol, Minchas Chavitan, up to winner number 5. He gives number 5. He gives to number 5. Number 5 gives it to the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol flips it on to the Mizbeach. What do we have left now? We have left winner number 13, who has a flask of wine, and he's going to get the wine to the Kohen Gadol to pour on the Mizbeach. Remember, this Mishnah is special rules for the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol is getting things passed to him. On the other hand, if it's the Kohen Gadol didn't show up for this part of the Avodah, then according to Rebbe Lezer ben Yaakov, you would have 9 different Kohanim going up the ramp. There will be no smicha. They don't have to put their hands on it. That's just a thing when the Kohen Gadol is doing it. And each one of these 9 Kohanim would take their item and put it up on top of the Mizbeach. Whereas if the Kohen Gadol shows up, each of them brings it up to the top, and the Kohen Gadol is going to be the one that's going to flip it on top of the Mizbeach. So now everything's been put on top of the Mizbeach except for wine. Now we're up to the wine. Balo lahakif es ha-Mizbeach. The Kohen Gadol now has to go around the Mizbeach. Why does he have to go around the Mizbeach? Because he has to pour the wine. You should have a diagram that I sent out earlier this morning. It's called Tamid diagram 9. It looks like this. Okay, it's not in the picture from Bahashe Vesavoda. Now, I want you to look at the picture is this way. East means you walked into the Beis Hamikdash from here, east, and you're moving west. So the Ulam would be here, the Heichel would be here, the Kodesh Kadoshim would be here. East-west, this is the beginning of the ramp south, and this is the Mizbeach moving south to north. When a Kohen, this is a regular case, when a Kohen wants to go to the top of the Mizbeach to do some avodah or whatever he has to do, we know that you have to, in the Beis HaMikdash, and some people learn outside the Beis HaMikdash, but we learned the rule, Kol pina she'ata pona lo yepona el yamin. You only go to the right in the Beis HaMikdash. So the Kohen Gadol is going to go, any Kohen is going to go up the ramp. He's going to go up the right side of the ramp. The ramp is 16 amos wide. The Mizbeach is 32 amos wide, 32. The ramp is 16, which means the ramp is half the side, half the width of the Mizbeach. So there's 8 amos of space, 16 amos of ramp, 8 amos of space. 8, 16, 8, 32. The Kohen, any Kohen, is going to go up the right side of the Mizbeach, make a right turn. You follow the arrows, and he's going to always be making right turns. Even if the Kohen has something he needs to do here in the southeast corner of the Mizbeach, even if his work is here, which is what we're going to learn about today, even if his work is here, with 3 exceptions, a Kohen will always go the long route. Doesn't make a difference where he has to get to. He goes up the right side of the ramp, right turn, right turn, right turn, right turn, right turn, down the left side of the ramp and off the Mizbeach. The avodah he has to do right now is to pour the wine. It may be the Kohen Gadol, if he shows up for that. It may be a Kohen Hedger. We're now learning what to do if a Kohen Gadol is going to do the Nisach Hayayin, the pouring of the wine. Where is the Kohen Gadol right now? The Kohen Gadol right now is here. He's been putting items on the Maracha. He's been putting items on the fire. So where is he standing? He's here on the ramp, close to the southeast portion of the Mizbeach. He's been putting things on the Maracha Gedola. The Maracha Gedola is on the eastern side of the ramp. Let's see if we can pick up a picture. Well, we can use our diagram number 3 of Maseches Tamid. There's your Mizbeach. This is your Maracha Gedola. I believe it says in the picture. Southeast. Southwest is the Maracha of Ketores. We've dealt with that. We took coals off of that and brought it into the Heichel for the incense. We're now, the Kohen, for us right now, the case is Kohen Gadol, is standing at the top of the ramp, and he's closest to the southeastern side of the Mizbeach, because he's putting the items on the fire right here, the Maracha Gedola. He's done. He's put the 8 items on the Maracha, the 6 sets of animal parts, the flour offering, and 6 of his 12 special Minchas Chavitim. He now has to do the pouring of the wine. The pouring of the wine is right here, the opposite corner, southwest. So what's the simple thing for the Kohen Gadol to do? We're only talking about Kohen Gadol now. What's the simple thing for the Kohen Gadol to do? He's southeast corner, just walk straight across to the southwest corner. From this corner southeast, where he's been placing things on the fire, just walk to your left and go to the southwest corner where you're going to pour the wine. But he's not allowed to do that. You cannot go to your left, even if it's a shortcut. So the Kohen Gadol is standing here, right next to the southeast corner. He's going to walk across the eastern side of the Mizbeach, make a right turn, walk across the northern side of the Mizbeach, make a right turn, walk across the western side of the Mizbeach, and he's going to get to the southwest corner where he's going to pour the wine. So this is what you're seeing in Tamid diagram number 9. In diagram, sorry, I was using the diagram at the top. East, west. This is entering the Beis Hamikdash. This is west. This is north, and this is south. Going this way, you're going towards the Kodesh Kadoshim. This is the way you normally walk up the Mizbeach. Follow the arrow. Up the right side of the ramp, right turn, right turn, right turn, right turn, right turn, and then you come back down. And that's what our Kohen Gadol, only the Kohen Gadol, this is another difference. The Kohen Gadol, if he's going to do the Haktorah, he shows up and says, I'm putting the things on top of the Mizbeach today. So we learned how the first 8 items got to him. Somebody brought it up to win a 5, win a 5 passed it to him, and he flipped it on Mizbeach, etc. We're done. Now the last thing we need to do is pour the wine on the Mizbeach. The Kohen Gadol has been at the southeast corner of the Mizbeach. He wants to get to here. This is where the wine needs to be poured. He cannot go this way. He's going to have to make right turns, right turns, right turns. That's the Kohen Gadol. And that's now what the Mishnah is describing now. Bolo lahakif es hamizbeach. The Kohen Gadol is going to go around the mizbeach. Mehechen hu maskil. Where does the Kohen Gadol start from? Okay, so we go back to our diagram number 9. He's at the southwest corner. Mikeren droimis mizrachis. He starts southeast because that's where he is. He's been putting the animal parts on the Marach Gedol, which is southeast. He goes mizrachis tzefonis. He goes northeast. Tzfonis maravis, northwest. Maravis deromis, southwest. And this is where he is now. He doesn't have the wine. He just walked around the Mizbeach making right turns. Now, nasnu lo yayin l'naseh. And they gave him the wine to pour. Who gave him the wine? Winner 13 of lottery 2 is going to give the wine to the Kohen. And now the Kohen is getting ready to pour it on the southwestern corner of the Mizbeach. We take a look at the bottom picture. This is one of the differences between Kohen Gadol and a regular Kohen. The regular Kohen, winner number 13 of lottery 2, he's going to bring the wine up. He brought the wine to the bottom of the ramp early in the morning. All the animal parts have been already brought up. And now winner 13 wants to bring the wine up. He's one of 3 exceptions that makes a left turn in the Beis Hamikdash on the Mizbeach. The 3 exceptions are listed on your diagram number 9. They're written in there in Lashon Kodesh. He's one of the exceptions. Winner number 13 is going to go up the ramp. He left the flask of wine early in the morning at the bottom of the ramp. He's now going to take that wine, going to walk up the ramp, and let's get the picture straight. East, west. He's going to go up the ramp, and he's actually going to make a left turn. Why is he permitted to make a left turn? So the Gemara explains to us that if the flask of wine was going to be carried all around the Mizbeach, remember it's a pretty big Mizbeach, and there's fire burning on top, the parts of the animal are already on the fire. There's a tremendous amount of smoke that's smoking above the Mizbeach. If you bring the wine around the Mizbeach, the smell and the odor of the smoke can get into the wine, and that would make the wine not kosher. It would be puzzle to pour on the Mizbeach, smoked wine. So, if the Kohen Gadol is going to pour the wine, he doesn't carry the wine around the Mizbeach. Remember, he always has someone passing it to him. So he is going to be under the old rule. When you make turns, you make right turns. And he can make all the right turns in the top picture. He's not carrying the flask of wine. And we're not worried about the wine getting smoky. So he can follow the usual route, right, 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 right. And then when you get to the, I don't know if I'm pointing correctly, he can do it right, 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 right. Okay, now he's on the southwest corner. And here, someone will pass him, winner 13 will pass him the wine. And now that winner 13 will pass him the wine, he can pour it on the Mizbeach. So the Kohen Gadol is subject to the old rule, make right turn since you're not carrying the wine. However, if winner 13 is going to bring the wine up, because the Kohen Gadol is not there, then he's going to come up the Mizbeach and he's going to make a left turn. He's going to make a left turn to get to southwest. because he's not going to be allowed to walk around the whole Mizbeach with the wine, and the wine, chas v'shalom, gets smoked, and then it's possible for the Mizbeach. So that's the difference between whether the Kohen Gadol brings up the wine or Kohen Hedyot brings up the wine. Kohen Gadol is going to deal with pouring the wine. He does the regular right on top of the Mizbeach because he's not carrying the wine. It will be handed to him at the southwest corner. If a Kohen Hedyot is going to do it, he's going to bring the wine from the bottom of the ramp to the top of the ramp, and he's going to make a left turn to immediately get to southwest and not go around the whole Mizbeach that is smoked. If you take a look at diagram number 9, you see at the bottom it gives you the 3 exceptions, Aleph, Beis, Gimel. Number 1 is pouring of the wine. Number 3 is pouring of the water on Sukkot. And the first one has to do with Malikas Ha'of. When you bring a bird as a carbon ola, the Malika also the Kohen can make a left turn to get to the southwest corner, and that's discussed why in the Gemara. So again, the Mishnah starts off with the Kohen Gadol decided he wants to be maktir. He wants to put the animal parts up for consumption. Why did we start this Mishnah with the Kohen Gadol? Because the Kohen Gadol has special rules about how it's going to get done. Kohen Hedyot, completely different. The Kohen Hedyot, each Kohen who won lottery 2, each one is now going to bring his item to the top of the Mizbeach. If the Kohen Gadol is going to do it, he stands at the top of the Mizbeach. Each person who won lottery 2 and put an item at the bottom of the ramp is going to bring it up. And as we explained the process earlier, it's going to get handed to the Kohen. The Kohen's going to flip it over the airspace between the ramp and the Mizbeach. And now all the 8 items are on the fire. What do we do with the wine? Well, if it's a Kohen Gadol, he's going to not carry the wine. He's going to do right, get to the southwest corner. Winner 13 of lottery 2 is going to give him the wine at the southwest corner, and he's going to pour the wine, which we haven't learned about yet, how you pour it. If it's not the Kohen Gadol, then winner 13 himself is going to take the wine from the bottom of the ramp, bring it to the top of the ramp. At the top of the ramp, he's going to make a left turn right to the southwest corner to pour the wine. He is not going to walk around the whole Mizbeach for fear that the wine will get smoked up and will become puzzle for pouring on the Mizbeach. Now where are we up to? Nasnu lo yayin l'naseh. The Kohen Gadol has now been passed the wine to pour on the Mizbeach. Or it could be winner 13. There's no Kohen Gadol there that day. And winner 13 is at the southwest corner. He made his left turn. He got to the southwest corner. And the winner 13 of lottery 2 is going to pour the wine. Or the Kohen Gadol, if he's there that day and he said, I want to do it, he made his right turns. He got to the southwest corner. And now they're going to pass the flask of wine to him. Lo mishaneh, either way, it's now the Kohen Gadol or a Kohen Hedyot standing at the southwest corner of the Mizbeach and ready to pour the wine, but we're not ready to let him pour wine. Hasgan omed al hakeren v'hasudarim biyado. The assistant Kohen Gadol stands on the keren. Remember, the Mizbeach had 4 corners to it that was an amma high. Let's see if we can get a good picture of that. I think there was one. Okay, it's page 190 in V'hashiv es Havoda, picture 257. The assistant Kohen Gadol is standing southwest corner of the Mizbeach on the keren, that little corner piece that came up on the Mizbeach at each corner. The assistant Kohen Gadol, picture 257, he's standing there on that corner. V'hasudarim biyado. He has handkerchiefs in his hand. He's going to be doing some signaling here. Ushnei Kohanim omdim al shulchan hachalovim. And there are two Kohanim that are standing on the table of the Chalovim. Remember, we learned that on the western side of the ramp, there were two tables. One was made out of silver, and one was made out of marble. The one that was made out of silver had 93 vessels put there every morning to be used during the avodah of the day. Remember the 93 vessels? On Tisha B'Av, we read a kinna that dealt with the Babylonians stealing the 93 vessels. These 93 vessels, as you recall, the last three Jewish prophets that lived, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Malachi was the last one. God's name, according to Yerushalmi, the Rambam brings it down. God's name's mentioned 93 times in those three books, and since they were the last prophets that lived at the beginning of the second Beis HaMikdash, they set aside 93 vessels every morning on the silver table, western side of the ramp. Western side of the ramp also had a marble table upon which they put the fats, etc., of animals, not the carbon Tamid. The carbon Tamid is a public offering. It did not go on this table. But private Jews, somebody had to bring a carbon oil, a carbon taida, a carbon shlomit, a carbon nazir, a carbon chatas, a carbon asham. And until they can get it on top of the mizbeach to be consumed, there would be a marble table. Remember, we learned marble is there because it doesn't heat up the animal parts. We don't want them to rot in the Beis HaMikdash. So it's made out of marble that keeps them cool. So this sgan is now standing on the southwest, that corner piece of the mizbeach. And two Kohanim stood up on this table, al shulchan hachalovim. Some Mefarshim say they didn't actually stand on the table. If you take a look on page 188 of Yevahashiv Avoda, it shows you two tables, picture 251. 251 shows you two tables, and the Kohanim two Kohanim are standing on one table. Some Mefarshim hold that doesn't mean they actually stood on the table. It means they stood next to the table. So if you take a look at picture 251, you have two Kohanim who are standing on the table. Picture 252, you have the sgan standing at the corner, southwest corner of the Mizbeach. The two Kohanim that are standing on the table have silver trumpets. Taku veheriu v'taku. They blew a tekiah, a trua, and a kiyah. Bo v'amdu eitzel ben arza. Then the two Kohanim who just blew the shofar, tekiah, trua, tekiah, they came down from the tables and they went to the duchan. Remember the duchan. The duchan in our Midos number 3, 15 steps, Shar Nikanor, you're now in the Azorah. The first part of the Azorah is 11 by 135, 11 long by 135 wide. That's where Yisraelim can go. You see there are some lines, and then it says Ezra's Kohanim. Ezra's Kohanim is also 11 by 135. But there are steps between the Ezra's Yisrael and the Ezra's Kohanim. Those steps were called the Duchan. That's where the Levium stood when they sang their Shira. So we need to get the Levium on these steps because they're going to sing Shira, the Shir Shel Yom, as the Kohen is pouring the wine on the Mizbeach. So we need to get them ready. We need to get all the musical instruments ready. And that's what we're up to in the Avodah. Again, Kohanim say Birchas Kohanim on the 12 steps of the Ulam here, not here. Levium stand on the platform, the Duchan, when they sing Shira. So now the Mishnah says that the two Kohanim who blew shofar, tekiah, trua, tekiah, on the table, they came off the table and they went to a person by the name of Vehenef Haskan Basu. I'm sorry, Tokri Tekiu. Bov Amdu Eitzel Ben Arza. Echad mimina ve'echad mismola. Ben Arza is one of the 15 people we're going to learn about him. He's one of the 15 supervisors of the Beis HaMikdash, and he's the supervisor of the Shir and the singing of the Levium. Ben Arza has he has cymbals in his hand. The two Kohanim who were standing on the table and blew a tekiah, trua tekiah. That tekiah, trua tekiah is a blast to get everybody. It's another announcement. There have been several announcements already to get the Levium onto the ducha. Tekiah, trua tekiah. Any Levi that's around here, get to the ducha. They now came off that table and they themselves went to the duchan. One of them stood to the right of this Ben Arza. One of them stood to the left of the Ben Arza. When that happened, Shochal Nasech, the Kohen on the southwest corner of the Mizbeach, bent over to pour the wine on the Mizbeach. Vehenef Haskan Basudarim, the Kohen, the assistant Kohen Gadol, who's standing in picture 252, he's standing at the corner of the Mizbeach. He lifts up his handkerchief. He's giving a signal to everyone, we're about to start the Shir. Hikish Ben Arza Batziltzol. Ben Arza hit his cymbals once, and that's going to tell the Levium, we are now ready to go. If you take a look at page 189 in your Vahashev Esavo, the picture 254, it's showing you Ben Arza in the middle with a cymbal, a Kohen to his right with a silver trumpet, a Kohen to his left with a silver trumpet. Those are the two who blew tekiah, trua tekiah on the table. They came off the table. Now one is on the right, one is on the left of Ben Arza. Ben Arza gives a patch with his cymbals. V'dibru haLeviim b'shir. And the Levium are now going to start saying the Shir Shel Yom. We're going to read the rest of the Mishnah, and then we'll come back to explain it tomorrow. Every Shir Shel Yom, we don't do it that way. At the end of the day, we say Hayom Yom Rishon b'Shabbos Kodesh Hashir Shel Leviim Hayom b'Beis Hamikdash, and we just say it. In the Beis Hamikdash, every Shir Shel Yom was broken into 3 parts, and every time a part ended, there would be a tekiah, trua tekiah. So before this has nothing to do with tekiah, trua tekiah on the table. The two Kohanim blew a tekiah, trua tekiah on the table just to get everybody alert, get to the duchan. We're not counting those. Once Ben Arza hit the cymbals, that means the Levium have to be ready to say Shira. Before they start the Shira, tekiah, trua tekiah. And now they say 1/3 of the Shir Shel Yom. Stop. Tekiah, trua tekiah. Stop. Then they said the next portion, tekiah, trua tekiah. So there are the Mizmor Shir, for example, today would have been said in 3 parts. Before they start tekiah, trua tekiah, they pause once, tekiah, trua tekiah. They pause the second time, trua tekiah, trua tekiah. So they blew tekiah, trua tekiah 3 times, which are 9 blasts. And then they finished the Shir Shel Yom. And every time there was a tekiah, trua tekiah, there was a hishtachavaya for anyone in the Azorah. So the Kohen, let's go back. We have our assistant Kohen Gadol on the corner of the Mizbeach with his handkerchiefs. We have 2 Kohanim on the table of the Chalovim. They blew a tekiah, trua tekiah to tell all the Levium to get to the duchan. Once that happened, they got off the table, went to the duchan. One stood to the right, one stood to the left of Ben Arza, who has the cymbals. The Kohen Gadol, when he saw this, that the 2 Kohanim are next to Ben Arza, he bowed down to start pouring. The Kohen who's at the corner, the assistant Kohen Gadol who's still on the top of the Mizbeach, he waved his handkerchiefs. That's a signal for Ben Arza to hit his cymbals. He hit his cymbals once. The Levium before going to hear a tekiah, true tekiah, true tekiah, hashtach havaya. Begin the shir. Stop. Tekiah, true tekiah, hashtach havaya. Continue. Tekiah, true tekiah, hashtach havaya, and finish the shir shel yom. Higiu laperek. They came to a point where they stopped. Taku. They did a tekiah, true tekiah, v'ishtachavu ha'am, and everyone in the Azara did a ishtachavaya. Al kol perek tekiah, for every time the Levium stopped, and there were 3 stops. Al kol perek, they broke the kapitel Tehillim into 3. Al kol perek tekiah, on every part there's a tekiah, true tekiah. Al kol tekiah, and on every tekiah, true tekiah, there's a ishtachavaya. Zehu Seder HaTamid L'Avodas Beis Elokeinu. These are the words we began earlier today to share with. This is the order of bringing a korban tamid to serve Hashem in His house. He ratzon she'yibana b'mher v'yameinu amen. He ratzon, it should be the will, our will, His will, that the Beis Hamikdash should be built speedily in our days. Amen. Again, we'll talk about this tomorrow. This should be the last words in the Masechta. It appears that there's yet another mission in the Masechta which tells us what is the Shir Shel Yom of every particular day. So that is basically the Avoda. And as I meant, no, it's only Chatzotzros at this point. The Avoda, as we mentioned, according to the Rambam, what we learned today was they brought the different animal parts and the other items to the top of the Mizbeach. That's what we learned today. Whether it was one of the 9 winners of Lottery 2, or whether it was the Kohen Gadol because he showed up. However, the animal parts got consumed on top of the Mizbeach, and however the wine got poured on the southwest corner of the Mizbeach, a Kohen Gadol, a Kohen Hedid. That's what we learned today. After that was done, of course they blew the Chatzotzos on Shabbos as well. They were slaughtering animals and making fire on Shabbos. So, and in fact on Shabbos they blew more tekiyas and truas l'kavod Shabbos. And when Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, you're supposed to blow shofar on Shabbos. It's only Gzeirah D'Rabbanan that we don't blow shofar when Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos. Biblically, if Rosh Hashanah comes out on Shabbos, you blow shofar. There's no malacha. There's no malacha involved in blowing shofar. That's a Gemara. So yes, they blew on Shabbos. They blew more on Shabbos. So although we learned last Thursday about duchening, and today we learned about getting the animal parts to the top of the Mizbeach, the Rambam Shita is the animal parts went to the top of the Mizbeach, and then the duchening occurred. So what we learned today, according to the Rambam, occurred before what we learned last Thursday. It is bringing the parts of the animal to the top of the Mizbeach, and then the duchening. It appears, we're going to see, and yet if we have time before we make the siyum, we'll see the Rambam. It would appear that the duchening would have occurred before the pouring of the wine and the shir shel yom. That's questionable. But the Rambam Shita is what we learned today, getting the animal parts to the top of the Mizbeach, whether it's a Kohen Gadol or Kohen Hedid, occurred before duchening, which we learned about last Thursday. So in that sense, according to the Rambam, the Masechta is not in a perfect order, notwithstanding the words at the end of the Masechta that this is the order, which, as I mentioned, the Machlokes in Gemara and Sanhedrin, if it means this is the order and it must be done in this order, or these are the things that need to get done, and the order is not necessarily ma'akiv. And we'll take a look a bit more at this Mishnah about the Shira and the Tekiyas and the pouring of the wine. How was the wine poured? We're going to have to take a look at another picture about how the wine was actually poured on the Mizbeach. It wasn't poured directly on the top of the Mizbeach. As you recall, we learned Masech Tamid, there were 2 sapolim. We'll take a look at the sapolim again, B'li Neder, tomorrow. And Blineda tomorrow we'll learn Mishnah Dalet, and hopefully we'll have time tomorrow to look at a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that explains Mishnah Dalet about why they pick a particular kapitel Tehillim to match a particular day. What is a particular day? Today we said LeDavid Hashem LeDavid Haaretz Amloya Tevu Yosheva. Hashem Haaretz Amloya Tevu Yosheva. What does it have to do with Yom Rishon, etc.? So we'll Blined take a look at that, and then Blined that Tuesday we'll dedicate to going through the Avoda in an order. What went one, what went two, to sort of summarize the Masechta. And the Siyum will be either Wednesday or Thursday. You'll get notices of that email or WhatsApp. And as we did for Masechta Midas, we're going to have to know who's coming to prepare appropriately for the Siyum. We'll do it Blined in the Chanayah. We will start earlier, as many people have requested, because it gets hotter later, and we're working on how to deal with the heat as well. Further details to come, and that's our Mishnah and Tamid for today.